Hey minions, welcome to Crank It Up. I'm Jim Price, and on this episode of the Gauntlet, I want to talk about the Grimm Critters. I asked our Facebook followers who they wanted to see revealed, and Francisco Izzo wanted to see more of the new factions, while John Piero Giacomini wanted to see the Itty Critters. So this conveniently kills two birds with one stone. It's no secret how I felt about the Grimms in early development, but I consistently felt like the Itty Critters were the one faction where I liked them, and in their polished form, these two factions are even better together and a natural pairing for March Smashness. Very high upside, but not a guarantee, which is exactly what we are looking for. This combination is just incredibly fun and provides an alternate form of toolbox that slings minions into play and provides automatic regeneration at times. The reason why they work together is because they both provide what the other is looking for. The Itty Critters want meaningful 2-power minions that they can sling from the deck with their higher powered minions. The Grimm Fairy Tales want a means to play their 2s and provide minion searching for their higher powered minions. As long as what you need is in your deck, this combination can be very powerful and their bursts can be quite overwhelming. Let's start with the obvious. This combination is built around the Critter Champion and coaches. The basic idea is that you can seed a Grimm minion on turn 1 and play a support action such as Ittypedia. You can add 2 power and virtually no power creep. On your next turn, our Critter Coach can sling for the other half of the Grimm minion. Both the Critter Coach and the new Grimm minion become 5s, while the original Grimm minion goes up by 2, going from 2 power to 14 for a gain of 12 with just your minion play and 1 card from your hand. You still have your action play, and while the Itty Critter actions aren't great for finishing bases necessarily, the Grimm actions have great setup potential. You can search for the exact cards you need. You can stage your Grimm's Blessing. You can send those Grimm minions into another base, or you can give them 4 power with Bird, Mouse, and Sausage. Whether you are finishing that base for 18 power or setting up your next big play, you have options. Even the base form of the burst is a solid 12 power, as Critter Coach as your minion play can grab 1 Grimm minion and Teamwork can grab another. That's enough to surpass most moderately contested bases. But what's great about this combo is that such a burst can easily be sustained. The Frog Prince is an unheralded MVP for this deck, because he can play a minion from your discard pile, and he recycles himself, so you can do this many times. Using one of the many ways to recycle small minions, you can play 1 Grimm minion to turn Frog Prince into the Critter Coach that slings for the other. You again have added 12 power with just your minion play and a little bit of setup. The difference is, if this is an Ittypedia base set up by Frog Prince, all 3 minions would get +1 power and you still have your action, and you start with 15 power. Given how easy it is for the Itty Critters to play extra minions, it's very easy to turn Frog Prince into something useful. Even if both Grimm minions of a pair are in the discard pile, Recall Critter can grab 1 to play on Frog Prince's base, who can play the other. It's easy to set up Frog Prince with I Select You, because you can lead with that as an action, then immediately play a Grimm minion to turn Frog Prince into a Critter Coach and do the same play as usual. It's such an easy and elegant 12 power that can be repeated so many times in so many different ways. And it's not hard to get the cards you need for it. You have 4 Grimm minions and 3 Critter Coaches. You should see them, and you need only 1 Grimm minion in your hand. You have Rumpelstiltskin to search for the Critter Champion, which is even better, and you have Fairy Godmother's Blessing as well. You have I Select You, which can grab and play Rumpelstiltskin, putting him back on the bottom of your deck, and that's actually not the worst place for him. As you start to run out of Itty Critters, you still have Teamwork, which only requires 1 Grimm minion in hand. Unlike the Itty Critters, who tend to suffer if they end up drawing their power 2s, Teamwork also works from the hand, which insulates you from accidentally drawing your cards. Depending on the state of your deck and hand, you do have a few more options for that final power play. Krakatoad with Recall Critter can add 4 more power. Tadpore can kick off a lone minion on a base trying to get it by yourself. Rainbow Rock is also in the equation, gaining power from your power 2s. A Grimm minion 1 turn and another the next turn is 2 power, but there's a little known trick. Full credit goes to John Piero for this, who originally pointed it out and turned out to be correct. Rainbow Rock, with its unusual wording, gains a power the first time you play a minion here, referring to its current base. Rainbow Rock can also move. To do this, you need to recycle a minion of power 2 or less, which shouldn't be hard since you want the Itty Critters and Grimm minions in your deck most of the time anyway. But this means Rainbow can potentially gain in power twice in a turn as long as you have extra minion plays, which you can actually get from Charming Princess. The double Grimm's Blessing, build your own engine, is already very powerful, but it has extra meaning to this combo because it can increase Rainbow power. Evolution can turn Red Riding Hood or Rumpelstiltskin into one of the 4s, which is convenient because that can enable Big Bad Wolf to destroy a minion. This extra action is even more important because the Itty Critter plays are endgame in nature. Because the extra plays are temporary, they either have to be engine minions you want to replay often or provide enough power to finish bases. So having extra plays, especially an extra action, to sling for that extra minion goes a long way. You don't have to worry about burning through good cards because Leafaroo is easily renewable and renewable by Rainbow. Another Story is also a good recursion action that targets cards in general and can be recycled by Leafaroo. I've already mentioned that the Itty Critters are the one time where I actually like axing the Big Bad Wolf. You can destroy a minion of power 4, then search for 2 Critter Coaches or the Champion who can sling for matching Grimminions. That's a base of 16 power, which can go to 20 if you seeded an Ittypedia in advance. If you seeded the base with Red Riding Hood, you can scrap the destruction in favor of additional power for the 4 minions you bring into play. Rounding out the team's strengths are some good utility cards. Big Bad Wolf is a great candidate for coach combat, allowing you to destroy 2 powerful minions on the same base in a single turn. This can turn around a base quickly and buy you time for your engine. Critter Cube was already a good stall card and potentially gives you another opportunity for Critter Champion. Super Effective is that type of card where it's always great to have one in your back pocket even though you may not use it, in case there is that one action that cannot be allowed to exist. The Grimms add movement, deck searching, and power increases, and when you consider that the combo has extra plays, movement, power increases, recursion, disruption, and utility cards, there's not a whole lot this team is lacking. They feel like the offensive version of Vigilante Orcs, and we all know how well they did. The general theme of this team's playstyle is going from very little power on the base to exploding with high numbers. I do think that this team has the potential to win every base, as long as you manage power creep appropriately. They can reach the low 20s in power, but only a few times, and they start with such a low power creep themselves. The hardest part of playing this combo is knowing exactly what you want in your hand, what you want in your deck, and what you want in your discard pile. Some effects specifically target the discard pile, which is important because the Itty Critters are good at recycling cards, especially low-powered minions. But that low presence, low power creep is also a weakness. They have no specials, so if there is another faction that can drop a lot of power on their turn, you have very little presence on the base. While that means you aren't supplying power creep, it's also really easy to lose your entire presence. This team is very susceptible to destruction because they lead with small powered minions. They also lack card draw to get your higher minions, relying on Floo Fairy to carry that goal forward, which is why evolution is so critical and sacrificing a 3 is essential. The Charming combo will pay many more dividends down the road. One weakness that could be a strength, but not to me, is Gotta Get 'Em All. This card may be unusable in some cases because it's obligatory. Not up to 1, but 1. As I said before, some minions you want in the discard pile, and this overwrites that. Also, because the Grimms have 10 unique minions, and the Itty Critters have several of their own, you run the risk of diluting your deck too much. However, the other cards can provide enough recursion on their own, Another Story offers more granularity, and Leafaroo can shuffle in Another Story. As far as weaknesses, that's really all that jumps out to me. They seem pretty counterproof, as they don't rely on a ton of singular abilities since they diversify their minions, and they can still get a decent power drop from the very few plays which can slip past Eliza, and they have a Titan which Eliza cannot block. The fact that this team has power potential, extra plays, and both minion and action recursion makes them very scary. Opponents have to beat them on their turn and inch forward carefully because it's so easy to drop power in the mid-teens or even more, and this combo is set up to do even more. Add in the fact that you have a Titan for extra power, extra recursion, and hard to remove presence, and you've got a great presence for an easy second place finish should you need one. It's remarkable how little I mentioned the Critter Champion and all the versatility she brings, because that's just icing on the cake. I could go on and on about this team because they have aspects of a toolbox faction, but I think they speak for themselves. They can add raw power themselves, they can spread out and kick powerful minions off the base to make your base victories more efficient. If you haven't tried out this combo yet, I highly recommend that you do. What do you think of the Grimm Critters? Let me know in the comments. That's it for this team. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe. Let's shut it down.